Thank you for taking the time to come chat with me, Michael. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
So some of the questions you've probably been asked a million times before,
That's okay.
but not by me. So I want to go back to the very start and ask what. Oh, before I start, I'll go over a question that everyone's asking everyone at the minute. So how have you been keeping busy during the pandemic?
Well, I've actually done 3 movies during the pandemic, so I've been quite busy. I've done 3 movies and a television show. So
You've been busy.
then I've got another movie starting in a couple of weeks. So as it seems, entertainment doesn't really slow down too much.
Yeah, I've done a few interviews myself over the pandemic, and everyone I've spoke to, well, near enough everyone, has always had something good to say about you.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, there was Ernie Barbarish, Dallas, who you've just worked with.
Yes.
Who else was there? Jeff Pruitt. Done an interview with Jeff Pruitt.
Oh yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, he's cool, man. He's cool.
Yeah.
Who else was there? There's been a few people, and they've all said good things about you.
Yeah. I guess paying people off it has its benefits.
It does indeed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, Christian Sasma as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah. We've got something that we're pretty excited about coming out.
The hard way, isn't it? No, not the hard way. You done that with Luke Goss. Take Back.
Take Back, yeah. Yeah.
It's not. He was saying it's not really an action vehicle for you. It's more of an action vehicle on your wife's part.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's making history because I believe she's the first black female martial arts action star.
Is that right?
Yeah, I can't think of any other.
Me neither. Look,
There hasn't. I mean, I think I would notice if there was a black female martial arts lead in another movie.
okay, that's amazing.
Yeah.
A recap on that, because then this will make my editing process hell, and I'm not too good at editing yet. To start with, Michael, as I said before, going back to basics, how did you initially get into martial arts?
Well, I mean, I was. I think I was just born kind of a very emotional, kind of insecure kid. And like a lot of us who seek out the martial arts, we're seeking out like things to. I mean, in our fantasies, we want to be strong and powerful. We want to, we kind of are interested in that type of a thing. Like I said, I looked up to superheroes, and the closest thing to a superhero in real life to me were martial artists. And so in my imagination, that's what I wanted to be. When I saw the first time martial artists in movies, it really hit me. And I just began my love affair with expressing myself that way and wanting to learn as much as I could about the martial arts. And so that's what really got me into it, the movies. And then the martial artists became my heroes. And so that's what I long to be.
You have 8 black belts, is that correct?
Yes.
If you don't mind me asking, what like martial arts are they in?
Well, I have 2 different types of. Well, in some of the styles, I have two different black belts in similar styles. Like there's USCU Taekwondo, and there's WTF Taekwondo. There's Kyokushin, Shotokan, Tang Sudo. As I mentioned, Taekwondo. There's Goju. There's Kobudo, which is the Okinawan weapon systems. Iaido, which is the traditional sword. Am I missing something? I started out with jiu-jitsu, and then I did wushu kung fu as well. And I have also a black belt in what's called Superfoot Systems, which is from Bill Superfoot Wallace. It's an American kickboxing system. So that was my 8th black belt. But I trained with Bill Wallace. The first time I trained with him, I was 17 years old, and I still do seminars. We do seminars around the world together.
That's amazing. Being able to train with Bill at 17, what more could you want?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky because the getting into martial arts and then kind of getting into the movie end of it opened doors for me that would have been closed for other martial artists. And so, I was accepted in a lot of different areas, so that's very, I don't know if I froze at all, because you're frozen right now. I'm not sure if you could hear me.
Last sort of maybe 15
Yeah, did I freeze? Was that?
Yeah, the last 15 seconds you froze.
Yeah, you froze as well. So I'm not sure where I stopped.
It was on and off. I think I heard 15, and then it sort of drifted off. It sounded
15?
Like, yeah, it sounded like 15.
I'm not sure what I would have said 15.
Yeah, it must have been when the way the connection broke.
Oh, okay.
It was like,
I know I was saying something about. Oh, you froze again.
I was about to say the same thing for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I hope this doesn't keep happening. Are we good right now?
Try speaking.
Okay. Let's see if I freeze. Am I okay so far?
So far.
Okay. I think what I was saying is that because of being in the movie industry early on, there were doors opened up for me that a lot of people weren't privy to.
Yeah.
I trained with top boxers, and I trained with top kung fu artists in Beijing. It could have started out as a novelty. It was like, oh, this guy is in the industry. But then they saw how serious I was. And, even in the boxing camps that I worked with, they quickly saw that I was, I was a good boxer, and I love to learn. And I think when you love to learn, people love to help, So I've trained with top people in Thailand, and so, like, I always consider myself one of the luckiest martial artists on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, I've trained with a who's who in the whole world of martial arts.
That's unreal. I suppose you get always dragged into the debates, don't you? Could you have beat Bruce Lee? Who would win if you and Donnie Yen?
Oh, yeah. And those things, they're frustrating sometimes because they're all different parameters. There's different factions going on, and everybody, I don't care who they are, they have whatever style you do, there's strengths that everybody brings.
Yeah.
These people, like Bruce Lee, is the greatest martial artist who's ever lived, in my opinion. Bruce Lee is, like, to me, he's the most dominant person in anything. I mean, I'll explain it like this, because you can have the best boxer, right? You can say Muhammad Ali, and then you can argue who might be parallel to him.
Yeah.
You can talk about racing. You could talk about, Jesse Owens or whomever. But when you talk about Bruce Lee, there's nobody that compares to him.
That's so true.
The guy, he can make a sound, and that means martial arts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's nobody that's that dominant in anything. And I said something that was controversial one time, is because, we talked about the fighting element of it, right? Bruce Lee is heads and tails the greatest martial artist in the world, but he was never a fighter. And it's just the truth, right? And I respect fighters so much because I came up with fighters. It's a whole different art. People, bleed and sweat, and they feed their families on the difficulty of fighting. That's something. These are our modern warriors, and not myself or any actor who makes their living as an actor can call themselves a fighter. That's just the truth. And so I am one of the rare ones. I mean, I fight with professional fighters all the time. I've done it ever since, when I was 17, I was Bill Wallace's sparring partner. I know getting your nose broken. I know how it is to fight top fighters. And if you haven't done it, you just can't. It's not fair to give those accolades to someone. And so mistakenly, I mentioned that, in the history of professional fighting, you've never had somebody who outweighs another person by 100 pounds.
Yeah.
It's just not fair, So when I mentioned, I was pointing out that a fighter at 132 pounds can't beat a fighter of somewhat equal, especially somebody who's a real fighter.
Yeah.
That's even 20 pounds heavier. It's a tremendous advantage, much less someone who's 100 pounds more. But you can't tell that to the average the average viewer, the non-fighter, because you're talking about their hero. And that was, so that was my mistake. I should have known better. Yeah. So there's the realm of reality, and then there's the fantasy of it. So, I learned my lesson on that, because Bruce Lee's my hero as well. But I can't say if Bruce Lee fought Benny Urquidez that Bruce Lee would win. That's insane. If anybody who ever saw the two, it's completely two different worlds,
Yeah.
So so there always will be arguments, because people change the context of what the argument is. Tai Chi. I say Tai Chi is the greatest martial arts ever created, because who can argue the health benefits of Tai Chi for so many, right? But you can't use it in a fight very well. You know what I mean? So, but which is more important to the human being? Why? Of course, MMA is going to be more applicable to fighting, but fighting is this much of martial arts.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be designed to make you a better human being. Anything that increases your discipline makes you more equipped to adapt to the entire world. So, there are always going to be these arguments, but everybody, all the martial arts out there, the martial arts stars, they all have their own speciality that's etched in stone. Bruce Lee is he's responsible for the majority of martial artists out there today. It would be nowhere without that man. Jackie Chan is probably, And I will say he is the greatest on-screen martial arts technician who's ever lived. Even number one before Bruce Lee, because all you got to do is say, look what he will do in a fight scene, and look what Bruce Lee will do in a fight scene. It's completely different.
Yeah, exactly.
The fact that he is not as, doesn't seem as dominant, that he's fun, makes people not respect
the
degree of what he's doing. But if you were to take Bruce Lee's head and put it on Jackie Chan's body, it would look completely different, right?
Yeah.
Imagine Bruce Lee doing all the things that Jackie Chan has done with a serious face. The fact that he's having fun makes you not take it as serious. But Jackie Chan owns his place in the world. Jet Li knows more than anybody, any martial artist who's ever done martial arts. He's mastered more styles, and he's done something that no other martial artist has ever done, including Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. He mastered Bagua-za, Tai Chi. He competed worldwide as one of the best practitioners in his art form. He's kind of like the gymnast who has done all, has won gold in all the routines. He deserves his place in history. There's so many of us that are excellent in our particular way. Benny Urquidez is the greatest real martial artist / screen martial artist ever. That is the highest decorated human being in the real fighting world, who has done one of the greatest fight scenes in martial arts history in Meals on Wheels with Jackie Chan. He deserves his place on Mount Rushmore. Yeah. So you can't say who's the best. They're all amazing in their way, and nobody can compete with them in their category. I think Donnie Yen is currently like one of the. He is heads and tails like the best creative martial artist on screen today. Tony Jaa physically can do what nobody else has ever done. Nobody who could do what Tony Jaa has done.
Yeah, nobody. I've never seen that until I've never seen anything he does.
Exactly. And so you can keep arguing, but it's like, my God, these guys are amazing. Scott Adkins has his place in modern martial arts, comprising all of his skills and putting them into movies and being as solid of an actor as he. I mean, my favorite thing of his is that Avengement movie. I think that's like some of Scott's best work, because he put his action and acting and character all together in that movie. So yeah, I embrace all of them. There's no way I can just say one is better than that. Everybody has their place.
I remember the first time I seen the versus conversation. I think it was on Twitter. Maybe someone posted, who would win a fight, Michael or Wesley Snipes? Do you remember that one?
Yeah, people constantly say that. That sounds so schoolhouse. It's just like a schoolyard. We're all children to some degree, and people are always going to say that. And I mean, Wesley's a friend of mine, so I usually ignore that question. And usually, if somebody's asking that question, they probably don't. They're probably not well informed. I'll just say it like that. They're just not well informed.
If we get slightly back onto movie talk, because I know we could go through these things all day of he said, she said, who would win.
Yeah.
You've
I mean,
got
if you talk about two fighters, I can speak to that, because then
yeah,
there's actually, criteria that you can pick from. You can't say, well, an actor fighting somebody who fights for real. That's ridiculous.
yeah,
It's just ridiculous.
because there'd be no choreography. They'd be lost.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, it's like, I know that you could be a great fighter and be rusty and get your ass handed to you. From you have to train.
Yeah.
It's like from one. There's so many variables. So it's silly.
I had realized on your credentials you have a role in the first Universal Soldier in 1992.
Yeah,
I can never spot you.
I'm in the beginning. I'm in the flashback sequence in the Vietnam flashback sequence, where Van Damme and I share a foxhole, and I tell him to get, we need to get the hell out of here, and I run off and get blown up. Yeah, so yeah, it's early in the movie.
That's where I'm going wrong. I'm looking through the Universal Soldiers, wincing like pausing away.
It's in the early, it's very, very early in the beginning, and I have fond memories of that, because we were freezing cold in Camp Verde, Arizona, like 2:00 in the morning, and I had like a T-shirt on, and between shots, Van Damme would insist on me wearing his jacket because I was so cold. This is the kind of guy he is. He was so gracious to me, who was basically a stranger. He invited me to train with him. We would train. He had a semi, two semis with workout equipment in it, and we would get up in the mornings and train together. And he knew of my martial arts background, and we would work on stuff together, and we'd spar with each other. And I gave him a lot of credit, because I was still competing at the time, and he was, he is risking himself actually, because hell, I'm a fighter at the time, but I would never take advantage. But we were working out together. He was very humble, very open, shared a lot of advice with me. And incidentally, there was a kick that I never gave a name to it, but it was a kick that I do, that kick I've done in probably about 3 or 4 movies, where I jump up and cycle my legs and end up with a flying roundhouse. And I remember trying to teach Van Damme that kick on Universal Soldier 1. And we were working on it, and to come back 8 years later, and when I came back 8 years later in Universal Soldier 2, he didn't realize I was the guy from 8 years earlier.
Is that right?
Because I had done the Mike Tyson movie, and I had done Spawn, and he only recognized me from that. He didn't realize I was the same guy that worked out with him for a couple of weeks 8 years earlier, because we lost contact,
Yeah.
And so I never told him until the day I did that kick, in our choreography. And I said, does that look familiar? And he says, what? And I said, remember 8 years ago when we worked together? He was like, oh my God, that was you. And it was like, I'm like, dude, I never forget how gracious you were to me. And, I will always respect that man for how nice he was to me. And I've only done that for others, coming up. And that's the kind of guy Jean-Claude is. He's very, very nice. He was a very nice gentleman. and very he cares a lot about people. He gets a bad rap sometimes, but deep down he's a really genuine person. And he has done more things to hurt himself than anybody else. But I will always be a fan of who he is.
I was going to ask you about The Return as well. I was going to say, do you have any fun experiences from that? But surprised to stand down with who you were.
Oh man, yeah, I had a lot of fun experiences with that because I was there with Jean-Claude and and Dolph Lundgren, who now I've done movies with. But I was like the kid that was like a day player. Like I was just in the movie, in and out of the movie. But to look back and go, wow, that was back then, and you train hard, and you eventually these people that you're kind of like looking at, you're in the wings, and then you're next thing years later you're working right beside them.
It must be such a surreal feeling.
Oh yeah. It's really tremendous. I mean, it's one of those things where I don't know, it feels like a movie.
I also seen you've got credits. You've done work alongside Jerry Trimble and Don Wilson. At them sort of points in your life and where they were in their career, did they give you any advice on either martial arts or how to get sort of bigger in the movies? Because at that time they were pretty big in martial arts and movies.
No, I didn't get any advice from them. I was big fans of them. I was so proud when Jerry Trimble got heat. He did. That's like a fellow martial artist doing A-list movie, and then Don Wilson, who's one of the sweetest human beings ever, just one of the nicest people you ever want to meet, and to be such a amazing fighter. And he's so fun and funny. And, I always wanted to see him play himself in a movie. Like not the tough guy, just who we see and love.
Yeah.
But Don is just, I mean, I'm just happy every time I see the guy. He comes out. We're in my back house where I have I show the fights and movies and stuff back here. And Don is always welcome when he comes down, and we spend a lot of time together. But the things I've learned from Don is just just how to just be a great guy. I've spent more time in gyms with Don over the past. I popped up in one of his movies early on when I was just starting out. But I know him more as a friend than a colleague.
You done a film as well based on Mike Tyson, called Mike Tyson. How did you get in?
Yeah.
How did you prepare for the role as Mike Tyson? Did you get to meet Mike and sort of get to know him?
I met Mike a lot of times in the past. My best friend was a good friend of his, who was also represented by King. So we've been around each other a lot before I did the movie. So there were a lot of similarities between my upbringing and Mike Tyson's upbringing. So I really, I felt like I was born to play him because we both had these mercurial like tempers, and we both grew up quick and in fighting in the streets and beating up grown men as teenagers. And so what that does to your psyche is very unique. And so it was great that I was able to play him because I had so many similarities. So when I went out for the role, I found that I understood him a great deal.
It was a really good portrayal. It was probably one of the best boxing movies that have been around. Other ones just sort of come in and sort of just capitalize, but that one seemed to have like loads of heart behind it. And I suppose that's probably because you did know Mike and you had the same upbringing, so you could basically put your heart and soul into the project.
Yeah, it's very much me, really, in a lot of ways, kind of revisiting my childhood. We're both from New York. We both are within a year apart in age. So, it was perfect for me to play something like that.
Another role that everyone knows you for is Spawn. Would you ever come back for a sequel or reimagining?
I certainly would. I mean, out of just respect for the fans who supported that movie, and being that the respect for what that's done for me. So yeah, I would definitely do
that. Another movie that I don't know if it's sort of a touchy subject. Exit Wounds. What was it like working alongside Steven Seagal? I know people have their moments with Steven, but how did you find working alongside him?
We had no problem at all working with each other. I worked with Steven on three different occasions. The first, he used to do these Nissan soup ads for Japan. And
it's breaking up
again. Did we get frozen again?
We did, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I could tell. It's freezing again.
Oh, we're back? Yeah, I think we're back.
Okay. We'll wait.
Just wait till it's
okay. Well, yeah, so I worked with Steven Seagal on three occasions. The first was he had a Nissan Soup commercials kind of contract, and I was part of the choreography team and stunt team that was involved in that. He hired me for that, and also for On Deadly Ground, which is for Warner Brothers. It's a movie that he directed that he hired me for there. And so, and the third was when we did Exit Wounds together. So there was never a problem, working together. Even though, people, some of the people who were producing the movie tried to pit us against each other. It was kind of a cheap thing that they were doing, is because Steven is known to be a little heavy-handed. What they kept trying to instill, which was kind of funny and very juvenile. The director and the producer came to me and said, Mike, we're going to put the fight scene with you and Steven as the very last thing. And I said, why? They said, well, if you happen to hurt him, we can finish the movie with the double. And I said, are you serious? First, the director told me this. I didn't believe it. Then I went to the producer and I said, are you serious? Are you guys doing that? Like, because I asked him independently. And then the producer says, yeah, because, if you like hurt him or something, we can finish it with the double. And I'm like, oh my God, what? Excuse my language. What fucking children? You're trying to encourage me to cheap shot Steven Seagal. And they're kind of leading me to this. And I'm like, wow. And then I told my manager, I'm like, you won't believe this. They're trying to set it up because they want to see Steven Seagal get hurt. Like I'm that kind of a person that would do that on somebody who's defenseless. Because when it comes down to it, we're all defenseless. We have to allow someone to throw a punch by our face. But this is God's honest truth. I'm like, oh my God, I don't care what your issue is with someone. That is not cool. And they did so kind of like with a wink. I tell my manager, I'm like, you're not going to believe this. They're trying to tell me that, this will, it's okay because we'll finish it with a double wink. And I'm on the phone with my manager, and all of a sudden the line goes dead. And I'm like, are you there? And he goes, it won't hurt your career none. I'm like, seriously, you too? I said, look, that's not who I am. That's cheap. I felt like, and I don't know, when we finally did that scene, I just wanted to let him know that I'm not about that, whether he knew about it or not. But I think he might have known because it felt very set up. But there's no way I would do that to anybody. I think I told that story one time. And I don't know if that was a problem, because then I think so then later, I think someone had told Steven that, I don't know, something like maybe they twisted that story in some kind of way. And then Steven said something about, Van Damme and myself weren't martial artists. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would he say that? You hired me. Why would you hire me if I wasn't a martial artist? So I was like, what's behind that? And I didn't quite understand it. And because we never had a problem. But I think it was some kind of the he said, she said type stuff. And then about 3 years ago, we ran into each other in Thailand and in a hotel, and we spoke about it and put it all behind us. And so, I told him, I said, the only story I ever told about you is the story about that stuff that they were trying to, do on exit wounds, just to see if that was the thing that was the catalyst. And he said he hadn't heard about that. I'm like, okay, well, that's all I've ever said. So if, just in case that was a problem. But I mean, because I didn't understand why he would say the things that he said.
Yeah,
because clearly my martial arts pedigree is very easy, very vettable. It was vetted by him, in the past for hiring me. So there it is. So I never took it very serious. I just didn't understand it. And honestly, I've always said, hey man, when Undeadly Ground comes on, when Under Siege comes on, it's one of those movies where I stop and I watch it. And I say, thanks for that, because that's inspired me. And so, in fact, we've been talking about working together again.
Like on a more sort of like a team up sort of thing, rather than either against each other or no screen time at all. Because I remember,
we wound up in a movie. What's that?
I was going to say that I don't know if it was titled different in the States or whatever, but there was a movie you've done called The Asian Connection.
Yes.
And if I remember rightly, you just didn't share any screen time together in it.
Right. I directing a movie.
Oh,
I
you froze again.
think we rose again. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think maybe we're back.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. I directed a movie in Thailand while the Asian Connection was going on, and was able to work on that movie. Yeah, we didn't share any scenes together, but well, it was a good friend of mine who was directing the movie, and so as it turned out, I was in Thailand and I was able to do that role.
Um, Another role that you done, which was for the most of the part, it was non-martial arts. Um, Undisputed 2. What initially attracted you to that script?
Well, I I thought the human story about it was really good. I saw Undisputed 1, and I thought it was a missed opportunity. I kind of felt that the human element was not there, and I wanted to bring some vulnerability to that role. I I felt that you know they wanted me to play a martial artist, but I really fought to play somebody who's just a boxer who has to learn from the old man how to deal with a mixed martial artist. And so yeah, I'm not really, I'm a guy learning a bit of martial arts to overcome the champion. And so I thought it was a great story, and I I'm very proud of that movie because so many people were in tears by the end of the movie because of the story that they didn't realize, the humanity that was in the story, and the relationship between myself and the man in the wheelchair, as well as it was a story that was deeper than you would imagine.
Yeah,
We created a thing for Scott where he had honor. You know, he wanted to be the best fighter deep down. He wasn't just a bad guy. You know, everybody had their flaws, and everybody got better by the end. And so even my character was arrogant and selfish, and he learned to to open his heart and help others. And so it's really a movie that really stands up to this day, that I'm very proud of because of the human element that we brought into an action movie.
would you ever return if the opportunity came about?
Only if the material was there. You know, I'm just not going to do it just to do it. We
Yeah,
gotta. Yeah, I want to be known for having something to say. I try not to do movies that are just basically martial art porn, where there's just some bad excuse for fight scenes.
yeah.
I don't like watching those, and I don't like being in them. I like telling stories. I was an actor. I made my living as an actor first, and so even though I do martial art movies, I'm an actor. And if you line up all the movies I've done and all the television shows, I've done far more dramatic and comedic stuff than martial arts stuff.
I actually realized that when I was going through your filmography.
Mm-hmm.
You like to dabble in a bit of comedy.
Yeah, I've actually done more comedy than anything else. I've done 6 seasons as the lead in a sitcom, you know, and so the majority of television shows, and the movie that just came out or 5 days ago, Welcome to Sudden Death. That's kind of, it's got some comedy and action in it, which is the area I love to concentrate in.
Also seen that you've done voiceover work as well and some animated Batman stuff, like Batman, Superman, Justice League, all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
And then you were also in The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to assume you're a DC fan.
I'm not really a comic book fan at all.
Really? I thought you were siding with Batsy the whole way.
No, I don't really follow the Marvel or DC world. I just never have. And a lot of people assume that I know what's going on in that world, and I just don't. And so the way I look at it is, if I'm playing Bronze Tiger, if I'm playing any kind of superhero, I feel like, maybe this is arrogant to say, I'm closer to the real life, of what that superhero would be,
Yeah.
And would that superhero be looking at comic books?
No, he would not.
No, And so I think, okay, if I fit this character, well, I think the character probably is not looking at comic books or not following it.
What was it like working alongside Heath Ledger when he was in like full Joker mode?
He was great, and he was a guy who would go into character and then be Heath the second they yelled cut. He didn't stay in character. He was a fun-loving guy. You saw that he was having fun playing with, and doing like improvs and stuff. And so, yeah, he was a really nice guy.
Another film, well, short, it's 3 Bullets. It was really fun. I think it was Jeff Pruitt who come in to help on that for a bit as well. Or was it like going to be a setup for like a TV series or maybe a film, or was it just a bit of fun?
It was just something I had in my head. I dreamed it up, and actually, there's a version of that we shot with puppets. Yeah, and then I just wanted to get it. I just wanted to put it on film, and that's what you saw. But it is part of a short, like a series of shorts that I was going to do, but I just got busy with other things.
Next question is, it's going to be one you get asked. I'd say every other question is this question. You know what it's going to be, don't you?
Spawn 2?
Yeah, but yeah.
That is the question that's followed me forever. But I think we touched on it already. But what is the question directly?
It is, will we get to see you return as Isaiah Bone?
As what?
As Isaiah Bone.
Oh, you said Blood and Bone 2.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, I have the rights to that. And that's one of the things that I'm really planning on doing in the very near future. The script, the sequel for Blood and Bone is better than the original. I seriously. Fact is, in Blood and Bone, you never got a chance to see who Isaiah Bone was.
No.
In this script, you will see who he actually is. And the way we shot the first one, the DP did not know how to shoot action.
Is that right?
No, he did not know how to shoot action. if you look at that movie, there's not one bit of slow-mo, not one camera trick, because the DP was resistant to shoot action in the way that we wanted to shoot it. I had to do everything on, in a wide shot, right? So that's why it's worked a great deal, because there was no doubling. There was not, I had to do everything in the lens, really. There was not much camera movement, but the sequel will have, I can really be able to move the camera and get a lot of action going on.
Will you leave it as sequel, or would you try and have a little bone trilogy?
Yeah, actually, the sequel's better, but my idea of the third will be on another level. I think I think each one will be better than the last.
And then the secondary question, which is just as big as both, is Tyson Reimagining is Dynamite myself. We'll get to see a sequel to that.
Yes, you will. I'm actually I have another meeting on Monday. In 2 days. Well, I mean, knock wood, we are paving the way for the sequel, which again will be better than the first. I'm finally at a place where I can get my own things done. And I didn't want to do these things until I was able to do them right. As you understand, with Black Dynamite, the first one, it was poorly marketed. But because of the success of the movie and the word of mouth of the fan base, it survived and kept going. So everybody understands the travesty that it didn't open very wide. But now we learn, because at the time at Sony, there were a lot of, if you know the history, the person who was in charge, who stepped down, was really exposed because of their racist attitudes, and was really the person that was responsible for the mishandling of the movie. That's when that whole Sony, the whole hacking thing happened. But regardless of that, the movie became a cult hit because of word of mouth. And so in a way that wound up really doing us a great service, because people loved it so much that they told other people. So I can't wait to bring that to the fan base in the right way this time.
There's been talk, like you talk to other people and they're like, it's a prequel, it's an indirect sequel, but on my sort of knowledge, the Outlaw Johnny Black and Black Dynamite, I would have said they're two separate films. Am I correct? Or would you put them in the same universe? Two separate films, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I think we froze again. They're two separate films, but in the same universe. Much the way that The Holy Grail and Life of Brian are two separate movies in the same universe. But, you probably have to be pretty old to know those two references.
Like you can't go wrong with Monty Python. Um, oh yes, one I had wrote down as well was Never Back Down 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were cool movies. It felt more like you were taking a back seat and sort of letting the other actors do their thing, but you were putting philosophy in it, especially with the third one.
Yes.
Were you gonna say something else there? I can't tell for freezing.
Well, yeah. I mean, the third, like, those movies from part 2 and then part 3 were just evolutions of they're just growing up. Like the second one was, like college age,
Yeah,
and then the third one was for grown-ups.
yeah.
And so the third one I kind of crafted as a grown-up Karate Kid, and something that the whole family can watch. And of course, I wrote it and directed it, and it was an homage to the things I've learned and wanted to give back into the martial arts.
A fun movie you also done as well. I watched it not so long ago. Tactical Force with Steve Austin.
Yeah,
Man, that was fun.
yeah, it was. I did that movie for one reason: Steve Austin. I met that guy and instantly liked him. He was just so down to earth. And when it came up, the opportunity to work with him, I just said, yeah, to support him. Because, I mean, we had a lot of friends in common. But, yeah, that guy, he's a throwback to, real alpha male manhood. And I enjoy, being around people like that who, I mean, he doesn't have to act,
Yeah.
he is. He's that down to earth, salt of the earth type of guy. And, it's just great to be around people who live by a code. And, yeah, he gets my entire respect. He's just the genuine article.
Another director you worked with, who I was speaking to, Ernie Barbarish, I was asking him about Falcon Rising.
Mm-hmm.
I love the film, and it seemed like it was open for like a whole universe, but we haven't seen any sequels. Did it just was it because of like pirating or whatnot? I know it happens to like Scott's films quite a bit. Pirating would stop them getting sequels and going further than they could. Was that the same sort of thing with Falcon?
No, we've always talked about doing a sequel, and we've also talked about that becoming a TV series. And so that's something that's, in our periphery to do. I would love to make that a TV series. So that's the plan.
It would be really cool. It was awesome. It combined everything. Like you got to put your acting into it, like the scene in the store, and then you got to have fun with guns, and then the end fight scene, the 3-on-1, was amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
And then, go on ahead.
Yeah, that's one of the issues I wind up having is how to get the finale fights at a level that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes the conundrum is being somewhat of a big guy who moves the way, a little, faster than a lot. There's not many big guys who move very well. And so it becomes difficult for me to find someone bigger than me who can move, right? So I can look heroic in overcoming that person. So usually the most skillful people are a lot smaller, but that doesn't look very heroic. Me beating a person that's smaller than I am. And so sometimes the idea is to have 3-on-1, you know? So that kind of is one of those scenarios to kind of balance it out. I get criticized for looking like I'm dominant to other fighters, but there's times where I'm tried to do the scenes where a smaller guy is hurting me, and it looks ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah,
because they go, that doesn't look real. So I'm in a weird position, because if a guy this small is hitting me and I'm moving faster and I'm a bigger guy, it looks like for that person to come back, that looks almost comical. Because it's like, wait a minute, you're 230 and you just kicked him full blast in the head. He should be dead. So it's kind of it's kind of a little conundrum that I run into sometimes.
Speaking of going against smaller people, what was it like going toe to toe with Tony and Skin Trade?
Oh, that was fun. Tony's such an amazing mover, and it was great because we created a lot of that fight scene 10 minutes before we shot it.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's a whole section where we go through this long this building, and we fight through the building. We came up with the idea and just choreographed it in like 10 minutes before we shot it. And so we did a lot of stuff like that. But Tony is he's the most physically gifted martial artist I've ever seen. So, you froze again.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing to you.
Oh. Just stopped.
Oh. We good?
Hey. Yeah, that froze for a long time.
That did.
Yeah. I think I was talking about Tony.
You were, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I was saying, well, Tony Jaa is the most physically gifted martial artist I've ever seen. So because of his physical gifts, it balances us out. And he's so nimble, and he's got such great movement that even though I look like a freight train, he has to work around my energy. And we had a lot of fun doing that scene. I thought that balanced out really well, especially because it's great because he's the hero in that.
Yeah.
So it looks heroic because he's fighting a guy bigger and stronger and who's coming at him like a freight train. It wouldn't have been as good if I was the hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
It would have sort of looked too easy.
Or you would have had a smaller guy attacking me, which doesn't look as heroic.
Another film I loved of yours, I had to get it imported from Germany as it's not released in the UK yet. SWAT Under Siege. It was a fun movie. It was sort of like Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh boy, yeah. I didn't like that one.
You didn't like that?
No,
Well,
no.
oh, it was cheesy fun.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, ugh. It looked like a TV movie, or it felt like an episode of television to me. It was too clean. It was, yeah, and geez, I was heavy. God, I look like, oh goodness, I look very big and uncomfortable. But that's just, I'm particular that way. I always like to trim down, but I look like I don't know, I look like a tank, or I didn't, yeah. I looked a little too heavy in that one. That's my personal opinion.
While we're on the subject of your movies, and I've just heard you be vocal about one. There's one that I haven't seen of yours. Um, Still looking for it, but I haven't come across it. It's called The Crooked Man, is it?
I'm gonna leave. No, please don't see that.
Okay.
Do not find that.
Okay.
I didn't belong in the movie. That is a black eye on my career. I tell you, a friend of mine was producing that movie. I agreed to come in as a supporting character for one day, just to help him out. And they end up putting me on the freaking box, like I'm the lead in the movie. That's what you call blaxploitation. That was like, I was really pissed because I'm trying to help him out, but then they put me on the box as if I was the lead or the crooked man, and looked like a freaking jazz musician in the damn. I'm like, man, this is not fair.
There's a couple. There's a couple that I haven't seen. So I was like, once you're open about on the SWAT there, I was like, I'll ask about the Crooked Man because I'd been looking for it ages, but then
Don't look for that.
it could stay hidden.
Let that stay hidden. But you know, watch Making a Killing.
Okay.
Yeah, erase Crooked Man. Follow, look at Making a Killing. That's an independent that I'm very proud of, and it was a true story that behind it, and I get to play a role that I really enjoyed, and it's a good independent film.
What about Android Cop? Were you a fan of it?
Well, that was fun, but it was supposed to be for the Sci-Fi Channel, for a little Sci-Fi Channel movie, but then they marketed it as a theatrical, like as a real movie. It, which was deceiving. It's a fun little movie, very low budget type of thing, but they marketed it as if it were a fully budgeted movie, and it wasn't. I was doing that movie because it was supposed to be on a channel, a channel that had small movies. But yeah, that's it's still okay. It's still a fun movie for what it is.
Yeah, the sci-fi movies, if you know you're going into a sci-fi movie, the majority of them are really fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was for the Sci-Fi Channel, right?
Yeah.
So if you're watching a Sci-Fi Channel movie, your expectations are, oh, this is a TV movie. not a movie.
Yeah.
But so I never expected them to market it as a movie, which was the problem. You know, that was one of those things where it's like, that's an, you know, incidentally, that was connected to the same people who did The Crooked Man. So,
They've just got it in for you, Mike.
huh?
They've just got it in for you.
Yeah. But yeah, I survived.
Going back, we'll go to a movie that was. I remember you promoting it and you said you had loads of fun. So, I think you did anyway. Hopefully you did. Accident Man.
Yes, I did.
Man, that was fun. It got to see you go toe to toe with Scott again on a martial arts level.
Yeah. It was support. I look at friendship is like family to me. Scott is like a little brother to me. I am profoundly proud of him, and I'm so glad to be a part of, of launching who he is. Because in Undisputed 2, I wanted him to really show his talents so he can continue to move on. I was on the bad receiving end of that in other movies prior, where the lead didn't want me to show my skill level. But when it came around to Scott, I wanted to encourage it, so he could climb. And so, I'm fiercely loyal to my friends. And so whenever I can, like Scott was surprised. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help you out. I'll play this, supporting role, because of, sometimes you risk things and you do things for your friends, and that's what it is. Even though in the industry they can go, oh, well, he played like a supporting character to Scott. So what? I still have my own thing that I'm doing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You reteamed as well with Scott for Triple Threat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That must have been so much fun.
It really was. It really was. I mean, we had a great time. It was really hot. But yeah, that was a number of friends that I was working with. I got a chance to. I was supporting not only Scott, but Tony and Eco, and worked with the same crew, pretty much the same crew that I directed when I did Never Back Down 3. And Thailand is one of my favorite places on the planet. And then the producer of it, he's like a brother to me, and he's like a dad to Tony Jaa. So it was nothing but a family affair there. So that went without saying.
It was sort of like a mini Expendables, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
we had
a great time, and then then myself and Michael Bisping became great friends there too.
Michael Bisping, I love his commentary. He says it as how it is.
Yeah, he is so authentic. He is one of the most authentic people you'll ever meet in your life. Yeah.
Another movie which is more recent, not Sudden Death. We'll get to that soon. But The Hard Way, directed by Keanu Waxman.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like shooting it and working with Keanu? Keanu's really cool. I've done an interview with him last year, maybe.
One of the coolest people you'll ever meet. He is super cool. It was a ball from start to finish. I got a chance to work with someone who's like a brother to me, who played my brother. It was one of the best martial artists I've ever worked with and met, and we've known each other over 30 years, is Grant Campbell. He's also kind of like my Shihan in you know, another style of Goju, and you know, so yeah, we shot that in Romania, which I enjoyed visiting again. But yeah, Keone, we have another one that we're planning on doing. But Keone is just the greatest.
Well, what other project is that you? Is it another actioner?
Well, we're gonna do another one, another Hard Way.
Oh, happy days. Would it be
Yes,
going to Netflix?
I believe so.
That's good to hear. I'm
Yeah,
getting loads of goss out of you today, Mike.
yeah.
Um, you returned to Arrow a few times in the TV series Arrow. What drew you back to the character?
Oh man, I'm just having fun. I mean, playing Bronze Tiger, and some of the stuff I got to do this last season, you know, with Steven. That's probably the I forget which episode it was, but it was the most successful episode of that season, where Steven and I fight the whole jail side by side. That thing could have been its own movie. That could have been a movie that I would be proud of. That episode, oh my God, with the just start to finish, the supporting characters. What's his name? The bad guy. I would encourage people, just pull. I forget which episode it is. Episode 7 but it was one of the greatest episodes I've ever done in television, and throughout, and it's Vince. Oh my God! What? I don't know why I'm blanking on names. Vinny Jones. Vinny Jones is in it. Myself, one of amazing actor, Acevedo, Kirk Acevedo, freaking unbelievable actor. I'm glad I'm coming up with these names. I'm not that damn old, but you know, that's an episode of a TV series on the CW that could stand up to any movie. That one episode, I encourage people to get that. I forget the name of it, but yeah, it's the jail break episode.
That sounds really good. Haven't seen much of the last season of Arrow, to be honest. I'm behind on so much TV at the minute.
Yeah, I wasn't in the last season. It was the season before last. The last season was a very abbreviated one.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so far behind on everything. I've got 3 kids, so at the minute I'm just, when it comes to TV shows, I ain't got time for TV shows.
I got you. I understand. I got more kids than you, so I understand. Yeah.
If we head up to your latest release from 5 days ago, Welcome to Sudden Death. Really enjoyed it. I was lucky enough to speak to Dallas on Tuesday. We'll go with Tuesday. On Tuesday about it. What drew you to the script?
Well, I mean, I just thought it was a nice, well-rounded script, and it had comedy, it had action. I get to play a husband and father. You know, I got a chance to play closer to who I really am. You know, I worked with my wife in the movie, she was cast before I was. Interesting. Yeah, it was just a really fun movie. It's me venturing into that territory that I always wanted to venture into, which is that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock territory, where you play a husband and father,
Oh
and
yeah.
you're the lead action guy. And so that's a place where I've fought for to get in there, and I really enjoy that kind of role.
Dallas was saying that he has some ideas for a sequel. Are you on board?
It depends on how depends on the writing, you know. Yeah, I mean, with that, it's like Die Hard.
Yeah.
You know, you can basically go anywhere. You got a character that's, and people can identify with, and he's got skills, and you know who he is now. So you can just turn him loose on another situation.
The fight between you and your wife, Dallas had said that you two had practiced at home and came in and just sort of put everything together.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could really tell the way your fight scene sort of went together. It was very well done. It was either you rehearsed it at home or that was when you didn't hang the washing or do the dishes.
Yeah, I've heard that joke a number of times, but yeah, what's funny about it is that was my most dangerous fight scene, because I trained with her, and I never taught her how to pull punches. So she knows like 100% most of the time, and so I was like, I didn't want to make it slow her down at all, but there are times where she throws if she messes up, I could be in trouble, because she doesn't hit like a woman. She hits like a guy. I mean, really, you know. I trained her to hit, like
Yeah.
serious. And so while we were rehearsing with that, I was like, what did I get myself into? She could actually wind up hurting me. And so once we got done with that fight scene, I was like, okay, I'm home free now. Yeah.
Now I look at that film a different way. Whenever she's kicking your ass away a bit, and you look over at Gus, and Gus is just like, "I'm done. You're on
Yeah.
your own."
Yeah.
Um, the final fight, the 3 versus 1, it was in the locker room.
Oh yeah. That wasn't the final one though.
Yeah, no, I realized that once I said that, then I didn't want to give away the final fight.
Okay.
But the 3-on-1 fight, it was really good. I noticed as well, to make the fight scene different than other fight scenes where you usually see like flashy moves and all that, you used a lot of blocking. Was that intentional?
Well, yeah. I mean, everything in the fight scene was intentional.
It's like,
It had to
the
be.
way if you were to put it into just an old school movie, there'd be like a roundhouse kick there. It all came together quite realistic. Like you were just sort of blocking everyone's hits and then only hitting when the opportunity was open. And you don't really see that in a movie these days. So I thought that was a really good touch.
Well, thank you. I wish. Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but I wish I had been in the editing room, because the fight scene, there were some things that they missed that was designed that the editor didn't really understand, but it's okay. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but for the most part, it came out close to what it's, maybe 75% of what it's supposed to be, but but I'm glad people enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. I've seen some reviews where people are going on about how it's not like the Van Damme one. It's what's the comedy about? But I think everything gelled perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, it's not supposed to be the Van Damme.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not supposed to be Van Damme. You know,
Next thing you're saying it's not Die Hard, but you're like, oh.
it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, okay, it's not Princess Bride either. What's the point? It's, you know,
Exactly. And if you done it exactly like the Van Damme one, they'd be like, "Why are you copying the Van Damme one?"
yeah, there are, you know, it's just, the fact is, this day and age, it's like the haters and negative people are just so encouraged to just try to be trolls, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's just such a gotcha society. But it's a shame because you can have 100 people who love something, you know, and 99 people who love something, and one person, you know, says something negative, and that gets a lot of attention. Well, that's if you want to give it that attention. But if you weigh it all out, that they're drowned by the positive. So I really don't think of those people. Sometimes back in the day, I used to follow those negative people, and I go, let me see what this guy's like, and then it's like, oh yeah, everything they say about everything is like negative, and they're their own punishment. So it's just like there's just going to be these people. If you got some kind of troll or some kind of miserable bastard, he's going to try to, you know, he's going to try to put a cloud over everything. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Just try and dampen everything.
Yeah. It's like, you know, it's more about them than anything that you're doing.
Nice. Still living in their mum's basement, no doubt.
Yeah. You know? It's like I wouldn't want a jackass to like it. You know, you're a jackass. You're not supposed to like it.
See, going into action roles now and keeping fit, how would you stay in shape now compared to like 20 years ago?
Well, I know a lot more now than I did 20 years ago. So, you know, uh, staying in shape is part of my job. It's part of my responsibility. So, and plus it's part of my lifestyle. Even if I wasn't an actor, I'd still, my religion would be take care of yourself. And the more you train, the purer your mind is going to be, the more healthy you're going to be, and the better you're going to be for your family, your children. And so to me, it's its own reward. I'm always going to train. And the fact that it's part of my job makes it even more fun to me.
What do you prefer? Because if you were to watch all of your movies, your shape consistently changes. Sometimes you're big and bulky. Sometimes you got like a slimmer frame, but you're always still muscular. What do you prefer? Do you prefer to be sort of on the slim, or do you prefer having a bit of bulk around you?
I always like to be slimmer. And so before I'm ready to do a movie, I usually trim down like a fighter getting ready for a movie. There's been a couple of things to where I was heavy and like say I'm like maybe I have an injury and I'm healing. And like when I did Accident Man, I had an injury and I was healing, but there was an opportunity to help out Scott. I wasn't in the best shape at that time, but I still went to go help. I mean, I wasn't the lead in the movie, so it was okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, I that's not the shape that I normally would be in, but it's okay as a supporting character. So there's been a few times where I've been a little heavier, but not for my leading stuff. I like to be as slim as I can.
What would your workout consist of? Like, if you had a workout for, just say, a day, would you like do 1 or 2 hours of just like cardio and then like 1 or 2 hours of like weightlifting, followed by
No,
some?
I really don't lift much weights. People they don't realize that. It's like I really stay away from a lot of that. The weightlifting I do is to be an asset to my abilities. So I'm never lifting to get big. Never. I have the body type that wants to get bigger. So I try not to do that. For me, it's about cardio. I do, like say, I'm getting ready for another movie, so I'm going to drop another 10 pounds. And so I'm going to be going to the gym probably in about 2 hours. And I'm going to do an hour of cardio, hitting bags and like techniques. And then some conditioning stuff like pull-ups and leg raises, things like that. But no, definitely not a bunch of bulk building exercise like weight stuff. No, that defeats its purpose for me.
That's surprising. I would have always said you lifted weights, but that's really cool to learn.
No. I will lift certain weights to be an asset to my overall balance. Like I may do like a lot of back exercises because I think a healthy spine and a very strong spine is very important. And so I will do pull-ups and I'll do rows, things like that, because that's something that really doesn't bulk you up so much. But I almost never do curls and things like that. I mean, I don't ever want to get my arms really big because it throws off a balance. And I never want to make my shoulders any bigger, because then I'm just going to look like I'm not going to, like if I'm playing a school teacher, or what the hell, am I a bench pressing school teacher? Like, and so I want to be able to, always be a little trim. And plus I don't want to look like I'm supposed to beat the hell out of everyone.
Yeah, good point.
That doesn't help. I'm really kind of on the big side anyway. So yeah, I want to look heroic. So I don't want to look like I'm massively bigger than everyone.
Would you follow like a strict diet or anything like that?
No.
No.
No, I don't eat bad anyway. There's nothing, I don't eat bad food. I mean, I just tend to eat real food. Like potato chips aren't real food. I eat food that looks like it's supposed to look. Like a potato that looks like a potato. Or, a French fry does not look like a potato.
Yeah.
A banana is a banana. You know what I mean? It's like I tend to eat food that looks like it's supposed to look. You know what I mean? Like I don't eat cold cuts, but I will eat, chicken. That's a piece of chicken. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what it is, and I don't. But that's, that's just kind of, it's a very simple diet of real food.
That's me in the mind of Mr. Michael J. White. I've always wondered. I was like, I guarantee you he benches so much, or that's so.
No.
It's so fascinating.
No, if I benched a lot, I'd be like 240. I don't know what that is, kilos wise, but no, I have to trim down for my roles, and it's good for me because then I'm more nimble and more mobile.
Before we wrap up, a question that action fans always ask, and it always pops up on the threads anyway. Would you ever sign up for the Expendables if they're doing the last one, which is the fourth one, and you were asked to be a part of it? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
Absolutely. Sylvester Stallone is a hero. It was interesting because when I ran into him, I finally got the information directly from the man himself, is that he wanted me to be in the first Expendables.
Is that right?
And what happened was a miscommunication with my old agent. I was doing the movie in. I was doing a movie in the Bahamas. It was a Tyler Perry movie at the time, and the information was that the Expendables wanted me to come to do an audition, and I was like, I'm currently filming in the Bahamas. That's crazy. How would I do an? I can't fly in there to do an audition. And so that was that. And then I found out it wasn't for an audition at all. It was like an offer to do the movie and not an audition. And the movie was going to shoot after I'd be done. But I found that out like later. Yeah. And so Stallone told me about the few other people that they went to after me. And I was like, wow, that's, that's interesting. That it sucks for me, but hopefully it keeps the spot open for the sequel for me.
Let's hope so.
Mm-hmm.
What about working alongside the likes of Donnie Yen?
Oh, I'd love that. I'd love to be, the heel to a Donnie Yen movie. I think right now he's the evolution of fight scenes. What he's put into it. I look at Donnie Yen and Iko, what he's done in the past. But right now, Donnie Yen, my God, he puts so much. He really is the evolution. He's put so many, he stepped up to put just, MMA stuff and just his ingenuity in fight scene. So is amazing. I talked to Scott a lot when he was doing Ip Man 4, and Scott was just so happy because they got so much time to do the fight scenes. Scott and I, we're used to doing like major fight scenes in a very small amount of time. But like, if you're doing a movie with Donnie Yen or Jackie Chan, you got like a whole week to do one fight scene, or sometimes 2 weeks. And that is like a luxury. No wonder those fight scenes are so perfect. Like they'll do the same sequence for hours. And it's like, oh my God, to be able to do that, walk out with a perfect fight scene. Oh my God, that would be amazing. So I would love to work with Donnie Yen to be able to really hone in on the fight scene like that, and not have to do everything in just a small amount of time. That'd be amazing.
A question I like to ask is, what are your 5 favorite movies?
Do you mean martial art movies or just
in general?
Oh, all right. I guess it would be number 1, Princess Bride. Number 2, oh gee, what's number 2? Like Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Almost Famous. Goodfellas. Shogun Assassins. It's a weird.
It definitely is. It switches genre quite a bit, doesn't it?
Huh?
Your top 5 switch genre quite a bit. So
yeah, but I tried to name them in order, but definitely Princess Bride is definitely number 1. Yeah.
And then there's a question I like to ask: if someone's mentioned Bruce Lee at all, your favorite Bruce Lee movie?
Into the Dragon. Absolutely, Into the Dragon.
I heard
still to this day the most realistic setting ever. That's why they've done it so many times with these movies about tournaments or whatever. but it was just brilliantly done how they dealt away with the whole weapons on the island thing, with this being a mandate by Han. Brilliant, right? So you never have to look at that. And so it's mano a mano and believable. So that's just really great movie making. And then, of course, what Bruce Lee brought into it, and and his character,
You got to work with Bob Wall as well, didn't you? In Blood and Bone.
Yeah.
That must have been quite an honor.
Yeah. I invited him to the party. I wanted to if you notice, well, Blood and Bone was something I produced and had a big part in creating. So when I get a chance to pay homage to the masters, and I had Bob Wall at the finale fight scene. I had Fumio Demira there. I had Brian Bastian from representing Kyokushin. Bill Wallace was supposed to be the referee, but he had something that he was a court thing that he was dealing with, that so he couldn't make it there. But that was when I could pay back. We had a spot for Gene LaBelle. He had a little quick cameo, but he was the guard that gets knocked out in the treatment facility.
And you also got to work with Kimbo.
Yeah, Kimbo Slice, fabulous human being. Just just a really nice guy. And I think that's why he was so popular, because you can't hide your nature very well. When you're that nice of a person, it exudes. And even though a lot of people may not have known Kimbo's story, but here's a guy who came from humble beginnings, and just his heart was just out there, and you knew he was a guy. You just rooted for him.
Yeah.
But deep down, I mean, he was really somebody. He was such a likable person, and he was such a likable guy. And it was a shame that he passed on.
The video of you teaching Kimbo and stuff about the punching and stuff. I don't know if you've seen that on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, just checking you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was well. What I did, I don't know if you know about the story, but when we were shooting the movie, as I mentioned before, there's no real camera tricks, right? So the DP, the director of photography, I mean, he didn't know a lot of different angles. So what I wanted everything to be very realistic. So I wanted Kimbo to try to touch me with the rubber knife as fast as he could, knowing that most fighters, they indicate before they move. And Kimbo didn't realize this that much, but so I'm able to see a slight movement before he moves. So when I saw the slight movement, I would throw the punch right by his face, and he was supposed to react to it. So what I would do is, as he's about to try to stab me, I throw the punch and I grab the knife, snatch it out of his hand, and put it in his shoulder. And so he kept freaking out. He was going, "How in the hell are you doing that?" And so take after take, I kept doing it. And I've got, there's some behind the scenes footage where you can see him. He's a little freaked out. But I said, "Oh yeah, I'll explain it to you later." Like when we had a break, I I broke down the technique on, you know, the indication and how a lot of boxers and fighters are taught to move first before they punch. And if you don't do that, if you can lead with your weapon, pretty much the way Bruce Lee did, where when the person is doing this, you can, they don't realize that they're doing it. So Kimbo didn't realize he was doing it. And then sometimes he wouldn't see my fist that one time it nipped him in the nose, and he never saw it. He just knew his nose, you know, stung, and then I had the knife in my hand. So, you know, I showed him why that works. And when I showed him even slow, is that how the eye perceives motion forward. It's very scientific. So that's what happened. And while it was going on, I didn't realize there's a behind the scenes guy shooting this. And so that's where that came from. Afterwards, you know, myself and a guy named Amani Lee, who played Big Lamont in the movie, he was one of my best friends and my training partners. He was also a K1 champion and a boxing champion. We would get together with Kimbo afterwards, so I was still trying to, you know, instruct him on that stuff. So, you know, that's where that came from.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. I just thought it was something set up just to show you behind the scenes. I didn't know you didn't know someone was filming it.
No, there's a long version where I discovered a camera and we're like, and I'm like, where'd you come from? Yeah, so I honestly did. I just kind of never noticed. I mean, good documentary film guys, they're good at that. They just seem like just somebody. There's people standing around, but you don't know that the guy's got a camera. And it was, you know, he's just like resting it. Like I never noticed it.
That's really cool. It was always such a fascinating video. I must have watched it at least 50 times anyway. It was so fascinating. You pick up different bits every time you watch it.
Yeah, a lot of people watch that thing, and it made me realize, oh wow, you know, because I get asked about it a lot. But it is a fascinating. I've been a martial arts geek my whole life, and I really studied the biological aspects and why, you know, how the eye perceives motion coming forward, and knowing that there's a science behind it, and how, you know, just how the nervous system even works. And so, you know, it's like, you know, like I said, it's a nerd thing I do, and you know, and I like to apply that stuff.
Yeah, in the video, I think it was a traffic light system you used, wasn't it?
Well, I was saying that there's a reason why if you're if you're in a car and the brake lights don't work on the car in front of it, you'll smash into the back of it because you don't know it stopped. So that's kind of the same philosophy, because your depth perception, there's flaws in people's depth perception. That's why if there's, like, say, some lumber hanging off of the back of a truck, by law you have to dangle a piece of fabric from that lumber, because you can't tell, looking at it like this, you can't tell how close this lumber is to you. So me doing this, I can be going forward. You can't tell it's going forward if you know how to move steady. Your eye won't perceive that motion forward. If you throw it straight down the barrel, it's very hard to see it. And so that's what I was doing to him, and why he wasn't able to see the punch coming.
You must be one man that you just don't want to get in a ruckus with.
Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe not. I don't know.
You know too much. You know a little about a little.
I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd with it. So it's just like people in martial arts. Like the whole thing is like if you're looking at me, right, and this is going like this, right. It's hard to tell that it's going forward. But if I do this, something's coming. Most people are turning their body first, and you see this movement very easy. But if I'm doing this, and if my hand is here and it starts moving this way, you can't, even though I'm going really slow, if I did it really fast, you can't really tell. And then by the time my shoulder turns, you've been hit. And so it's kind of an illusion, but it takes practice.
I see you've had loads of practice with the people you've worked with.
Mm-hmm.
So my final question, because I think I've kept you here for like 2 hours nearly.
Mm-hmm.
What's next after Welcome to Sudden Death?
Well, I've got the release of. I just saw on IMDb Pro. I've got 7 movies in post-production now. 7. I didn't until last night. I just was like, somebody mentioned, I was like, you got 7 movies in post-production. I'm like, you're bullshitting. And I looked and I go, yeah, I do. Actually, I have 7. There's a number of things coming out. I don't know when the next one is going to be, but it's there's a movie called Send It, and it's about kiteboarding, and I play the father of the lead. It's kind of like a Disney type of movie, but it's I'm not sure if that's the next one that's coming out. But then I have Outlaw Johnny Black that I directed, and that's got a lot of cameos and a lot of great people popping up in it. Got some MMA guys that you know, like Cowboy Cerrone, Randy Couture, Josh Barnett. There's like a lot, Michael Madsen. You got probably about 20 some odd badasses in this movie, and it's a Western. So that's good. Huh?
Do you reckon we'll see it this year?
Well, you'll see it next year.
Oh,
you'll see that next year, because we're gonna bring it out the right way.
Just right.
Yeah. Well, as you know, Welcome to Sudden Death is out now.
Yeah.
I just saw an article from Forbes magazine, and it's I don't want to say what it said, but it's a really nice article. It said it's a picture of myself and Van Damme, and it's saying that that like that Welcome to Sudden Death is one of the most watched movies on Netflix right now.
Happy days. You couldn't be bad to that.
Yeah. It's a cool thing. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm pretty proud of it. I'm pretty proud of what's well, I can just say, I can say this. I don't know if you can read that.
A Michael J. White remake of a Van Damme bomb is now one. Oh, that's nothing better to read than that.
Yeah, I just don't want to say it because it seems like coming from me sounds disrespectful, but I didn't say it. They did. Okay.
That's such a good thing to wake up to.
Yeah, not bad.
Run down to the wife like a school child. Look at this.
Yeah, well, I like that person who talked crap about the movie to read that. Yeah. It wasn't Van Damme. Well, Forbes has something to say about that. So, there you go.
No Crooked Man 2?
I don't think so. I think we just promoted Crooked Man better than ever. Oh God! Please don't see that movie.
I'm scratching off my list now.
Yeah, but you really put it on the radar now.
I have to tell the wife in case she appears home with it one day.
Now remember, see, making a killing, not cooking, man.
Making a killing.
Yeah, if you want a little gem of a movie, or rent the old movie Thick as Thieves that I did a long time ago.
Just avoid the crooked man.
Yeah, that's with myself and Alec Baldwin, which is hilarious movie. Alec Baldwin is hilarious in this movie, and it stands up. Yeah, stands up to the test of time.
I have to give that one a watch.
Yeah.
I'll track that one down instead.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Well, Michael, that's all my questions up for you. It's been amazing speaking to you.
All right, bro. It's been cool. All right. I wish you well.
You too, Michael. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening.
Yep, I'm off to the gym. All right, man.
All right, man. Take care, Michael.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.